Monday Morning House Call is sponsored by Primary Care Centers of Hazard, Hindman, Hayden, and Vico, focusing on your family's health.
Welcome back into Mountain News this morning. We're joined today by Brian Overby. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
And you're going to talk to us about lactose intolerance. So first, why don't you just tell us what is that?
Well, lactose intolerance is an inability of the body to digest lactose from, that's sugar in milk, and it leads to a lot of gastrointestinal symptoms such as diarrhea, abdominal cramping, flatulence, things of that nature.
So what causes it? Okay,
it's caused because when you take a milk product into the body, when it gets into the intestines, it's broken down into galactose and glucose. And the thing that does that is an enzyme called lactase. And a lot of times what happens is there's not enough lactase to break down into those two products, and therefore we get a lot of symptoms. Now this can be from several different causes. It can be a congenital problem, which means that you get it from birth to where that you're just born where you're not producing enough of the enzyme. It can be a secondary problem where you get it from a medical condition like celiac disease or something of that nature. But it can also be a developmental problem, and this is the biggest majority. We have a lot of people that the older they get, their body doesn't produce enough lactase to break these down. And in certain geographic regions, certain ethnic populations, it's even worse. Like Asian Americans or Asians, they say that about 100% of those people will develop some lactose intolerance. Now it can be either mild, moderate, or very severe, and typically people with mild and even moderate symptoms don't have or moderate lactose intolerance don't have a lot of symptoms.
So they don't even know.
A lot of times they don't know. And another problem that we have is a lot of people are calling themselves lactose intolerant. They've never been tested, and they say 20% of those that believe that they aren't.
Oh, really?
And 20% of those that think that they aren't really are.
Well, that's flipped. So why don't you tell us how then you go about diagnosing? I know the simplest way is the milk challenge. What's that?
The milk challenge is very interesting. What people do is they fast all night, and then they get up in the morning. The first thing they do is they drink a glass of milk, and they don't take anything else in for 3 to 5 hours. And what is supposed to happen is if they do have lactose intolerance, when it begins to digest that milk, then they'll start to experience symptoms. They'll either have some abdominal cramping or some flatulence or diarrhea or maybe all of the above. That's not 100% accurate, because if they're taking in small amounts of milk in their diet anyway, they may not take in enough milk to actually cause the symptoms to come on. There are other ways that you can be tested. There's a breath test that they can do in the office. That you come in, but they have to check your breath for 3 to 5 hours. There's a blood glucose test that's used, but it can also give false positives. There's a stool acidity test that they use for children, for infants, to test for acids that is a byproduct of lactose being broken down in the intestine. And then the new thing that's coming out is like a DNA test, but that's probably not going to be cost effective, and you probably won't see that used at all.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. You're watching Mountain News This Morning.